Okay, in Path of Exile 2 there's tons of skills and you need to use them all to be insanely powerful, right?
Wrong.
And that's the question I asked when created this archer. But this video should not exist, as well as this build actually. It was so weak and boring until I realized how to make it insanely powerful, and now I'm completing maps with this. But as always, it's all started with one lucky guy on a rope. Ranger is cool and strong in the beginning, and it's so easy to defeat this walking potato. And my idea was simple: I want to try to beat all acts on all difficulties in Path of Exile 2 right now, using only basic attack and no other skills. In the process of launching my chopsticks at these breadcrumbs, I realized that while idea is very challenging and cool, well, in reality it's insanely boring. Mostly because all fights look like this. And honestly, this poor lady is very fragile and insanely squishy. So my strategy for the first act was simple. I just overleveled a bit, picked all damaging nodes in passive skill tree, and then while I struggled against last boss, in the end I defeated him and decided to leave this 200 GB folder without making video, because it was really simple and boring right before last patch dropped. And oh my gosh, guys, this patch made it not only fun, but also viable. I decided not to stick with solo self-found, since from Act 2 amount of enemies rise like amount of guys who fighting for the new iPhone on Black Friday. And I found how to fix the biggest problem of skillless archer. Fork, yeah. The nicest support skill, but it's gem level 3. And that's the secret what gave me the power to finish Act 2 and actually go through this massive amounts of monsters, since after reaching the first enemy, arrow forks and hitting other enemies. Another tool that I used here to fight against monsters is the new bow. This bow is Splinter Heart recurve bow, which gives me nice amount of damage, but also projectile speed, and also projectile will split towards 2 targets, which means I effectively hitting 2 arrows at once, which splits, or I better call it forks, into 2 more arrows. I experimented with probably every support gem you can socket into the bow, but right now I got only 2 slots and I left Martial Tempo, which gives me attack speed with 4. Still, fighting versus big guys is a little bit of problem since we don't have enough damage, and I need to put all my skills to a test to evade all attacks. And as you can see, it's pretty doable and yeah, actually like pretty easy still. But that's the biggest damage booster we will get here in Act 2 when we're leveling. This node is insane. All projectile speed nodes will also be applied to damage of the bow. And this makes our archer into complete dominator machine. We got some nodes that get bonus from my quiver and also damaging nodes. And while there is some juicy plus 40% damage nodes on the tree for my projectile and a lot of projectile damage in the path of mercenary, I will completely ignore them, since I got better ways to improve my DPS up to insane amount. And some cool part of balance changes that I used to make my archer insanely broken. Anyway, look how powerful archer right now with just basic passive tree and fork support gem. I can defeat 2 bosses at the same time. Defeating basic enemies again is not a problem when we can defeat 2 bosses at the same time. I'm most of the time just standing still, shooting arrows and everyone being destroyed, and when I'm facing tanky enemies, that's not a problem, because arrows forking from them and defeating everyone off screen. And while I would love to pick some nice and epic music for this boss fight, I got another soundtrack that fits this fight a lot better. Since this guy got a little bit of problem, he can attack front and back, but can't attack left and right. And against his special attacker, he can just stand still, guys. And we are approaching the last boss of this act. He is most of the time is actually pretty scary, but what is more scarier is Dreadnought, the part before him. It's really difficult place to fight with most of the classes, but for my archer it's not a problem. We got a tanky lady who is standing in the front most of the time, and I'm just standing behind and shooting. That's everything you need to do to destroy Dreadnought with auto-attack archer, of course. The only question is my power enough to defeat this boss and go to the Act 3. I ate a bunch of bolts in the beginning of the fight because I was too lazy to actually avoid them, but still. This fight is pretty easy, and I was surprised how easy it was because I got a bunch of problems even with my warrior, who was able to almost one-shot this dude, but was one-shotted himself. It's so easy to stand from the range. The only difficult situation was in the end of the fight when he trapped me near the tornadoes and volcanoes, but still I got few flasks left and I was able to sneak out and finish him off. The question right now is it enough to go into Act 3? Right from the beginning I noticed that my damage is not enough already, and it was even pretty hard to defeat basic monsters. I'm not talking about rare and unique monsters. That's why I basically skipped all hard monsters and sneaked right into the village, the Gorat encampment. The plan was simple: to level up a little bit and respec my passive skill tree to get a better and more powerful way to destroy monsters. And that's technically what you wanna do when you're doing some off-meta weird challenge stuff. You want to hit a wall and then find the way how you can go past this wall. Since it started to feel like I'm back to Act 1 and I'm insanely underleveled and underpowered character. The goal right now is to find where I can get more experience faster. I decided that best way to farm is to actually get back to Dreadnought, but right now I want to defeat this big gorilla first. He is really scary opponent. Mostly he is scared because whole jungle come through him for help, but still we can abuse him pretty easily. He can't go through different passes on the map. And here you will see new mechanic I introduced into my weapon. Yeah, it comes from my boots, and by using these unique boots I can make my physical damage pinning, and yeah, we get only physical damage. So as long as I can evade his slams or at least survive them, all I need to do is to make few attacks and finally pin him. When he is pinned, he just standing still and doing nothing. Yeah, that's so funny and actually pretty useful. When we accumulate 100% of the pin, boss will just stand still. It makes it a lot easier to evade his attacks because he can't jump on us or rush on us or do any fast movement. The coolest part, I can chain, pin and stun. So right now he is stunned and we're doing basic attacks, and right after the stun ends we will pin him and finish him off. For +2 skill points. I used it to level up skill speed that also works on bow shot, and it gives us pretty nice damage boost. After introducing pin into the game, enemies are basically surrendering to us, and it's just complete joke to defeat big guys. While small guys is technically not a problem without damage per second right now. So after getting some notes with attack speed, I became a lot faster in shooting, of course, but still not very fast and not real minigun archer. archer. But when enemies is fast, we can pin them really fast and a lot faster than they coming to us and defeat them pretty easily. As you can guess, I'm doing pretty easily and straightforward versus bosses in Act 3 right now, since they are pinned most of the time. And that's the skill build at the moment. I'm using a little bit of barrage with Combat Frenzy to get some charges and activate my barrage to make quick succession of attacks. So I need to pin few enemies, get power charges, and then activate barrage and do one attack. So all enemies gone. But honestly, I got so used to not push any button beside my main attack that I just used it one time to show you how it works, and that's it. Stun and pin is just insane combination for Act 1. Bosses are just standing in one place, so again and again I will repeat this. This combination is insane. To improve my power, I used gems with attack speed and projectile speed. And basically I was ready to try my power against last boss in Act 3 and go into Act 1 cruel difficulty. Right after destroying the pole clock with a stylish escape and throwing his balls into altar until reaching this room with the sun in the middle. And most of the time it's pretty hard one, because you need a little bit of resistance to defeat guys when you're standing in the sun. And I decided, why do I even need to bother to fight them, and I just basically run through them with a lot of rolls. And you can just look at the clock. By doing these rolls and going past the guys without fighting, in 2 minutes we reached the boss room. I tried my best, and he is not one of the hardest bosses, but my fire resistance right now is minus like 50% probably. So if I'm not evading his attacks like perfectly, I'm being destroyed in one hit. So it took some time, but I reached last level of Act 3, or I better call it last part, because at the end of this part I start feeling that my damage is not enough again, and success of this run is again questionable. But I reached level 40, and that's magic level because we are unlocking the new slot on our bow. Yeah, someone still thinks it's based on your gear, but it's actually based on your level. And I was thinking to drop projectile speed inside, but the patch dropped, yeah, right over here, and we are looking at this part. Yeah, we get a new, cutest and coolest and newest part on the passive skill tree. So I decided to refund a bunch of passives to get this new branch on passive skill tree near the monk. It will be electrocute build up. I switched my legendary bow to bow with some electric damage and also buffed it with more lightning damage runes. Crafted electrocute supportive gem and went straight for the last boss, who can still one-shot me insanely easy with any attack. And as you can see, combination of electrocute, pin and stun build-up is insane, and that's what got me into Act 1 Cruel difficulty. Yeah, most of the time with other characters I got here and steamrolled everyone because I already getting like pretty good, stable and insane build. Right now we get basic build with basic attack, but still we're doing pretty nice and alright. Electrocute doing the work, and it's pretty easy to destroy bosses, but still takes time with damage so low. So the goal for this part of the game is to increase my damage substantially. But anyway, I found it really fun because with low damage, like pretty low damage, I interacting with bosses, mechanics and like abilities a lot more, so I learned how they doing their attacks, their patterns a lot better, and it was really fun. I really recommend you to try out not like OP one-shot builds and actually play the game. It feels really good. And while build idea is established to pin, electrocute and stun lock enemies permanently, instead of going to the left part with a lot of attack speed and projectile damage, I decided to stick to the right part of Monk and Ranger, because at Monk part there's a lot of cool nodes that gives us skill speed, which is technically attack speed itself, and also some flat damage increases with nice bow branches. So all I need to do right now is to level up a bit. Just like that, with good leveling, I went through Act 2 like a breeze. And we are in Act 3 now, basically in the end. My defense is so awful that if I'm not playing perfectly, I'm being one-shotted. So I was forced to find solutions against any boss and use all environment at my disposal to avoid attacks and finish them off. I mostly invested in attack speed, and with some funny early game unique bows I can achieve attack speed like this. Still, as you can see, damage is not insane, and damage on the bow is more important than pure attack speed, of course, but still it's very fun interaction in my opinion. That's my passive skill tree, and I found that parts near the monk is a lot more beneficial for us than parts near archer. But whatever, that's basically what I leveled for. I got this electrocute and bunch of stuff that gives me piercing, forking and projectile speed. I'm curious, guys, if this challenge was really interesting and if you want to see something in the future, since I'm thinking to try challenge myself and defeat this game with attack only as melee character. And right now you can enjoy the last fight with this last boss. Oh, this was challenging and fun, but also pretty satisfying. Right now I'm playing maps with this character. Make sure to post a comment if you want to see how I spending like 10-20 exiles on this character to gear him up for the maps a lot better. And for now, see you in the next videos.